Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Martin Dreyfus Show. Welcome back to our continued coverage of the Russia and Ukraine crisis. Although we haven't been on camera, I still have been following, and one of the videos that struck me the hardest in our absence was a general who was responsible for overseeing a steel plant. There were mostly women and children there being defended by soldiers, and they were being closed in on by Russian troops in fear for their lives. The man remained calm, he was a leader, and he attested that they would survive this conflict. The breaking news on this whole struggle is that they've actually evacuated some of these people, and some remain trapped. So I want to kind of get more details, see if there's been any casualties, see if we're more so looking at freeing everybody safely, or just getting a better perspective on what's happening, and I want to do it with you guys. So let's go ahead and get into it.
Morning, smoke is rising over the old steel plant in Mariupol, signaling the Russian assault on the devastated port city is ongoing. The sounds of war after more than 100 women and children were evacuated from the plant in a harrowing operation orchestrated by the United Nations and Red Cross. But 200 civilians, including 20 children, remain trapped inside, and thousands more in the city itself, according to Ukrainian officials.
So we know Mariupol itself is an absolute, I want to say disaster, but really a war zone. Russia has overtaken it. The last I heard of it, it seems like maybe Ukraine has gotten a little bit of it back just to be able to get some people out. However, Mariupol is one of the worst cities you can be in Ukraine right now. I'm really trying to more so focus on the steel plant here, just because, I mean, Mariupol could be an hour and a half of us talking. So in the steel plant, you know, there's still 200 civilians trapped, which is still a significant number. But at least it seems like there's a plan to get them out, which I like to at least be hopeful in that regard.
You wake up in the morning and you cry, this woman says. You cry in the evening. I don't know where to go at all. In the east, Russia's progress has been slow and incremental. On the outskirts of war-torn Kharkiv, the Ukrainian military claims to have pushed back Russian forces, while volunteers help the helpless any way they can. This 95-year-old weeps as she says goodbye to her home. I want this Putin to be battered, she says, so he feels what we are going through.
Yeah, you know, people are leaving their homes that they've had for a very long time. Only area I get confused in, and not to be disrespectful, but the lady is 95. Ukraine has been free since 91. That is 31 years now. So she was 64 years old when Ukraine became a free country, right? I'm assuming her life's been very hard. I'm assuming she's been through the Soviet Union, amongst other things, and that's terrible and tragic. I just, for perspective purposes, it's not as if she's been a Ukrainian her entire life and now she's being displaced. It's just more so tragic that she's in her elderly age. And it's tragic that they're bombing and destroying her entire city and she's forced to leave her home. I'm just curious more so on the front of her life experience, where she lies. She's had to have a very interesting life, to say the least.
Capital Kyiv calls for justice grow even louder. On Monday, Ukraine's prosecutor general named the first suspect accused of murdering civilians in Bucha, a commander of the Russian National Guard. He's suspected of killing 4 unarmed men and torturing another. 61-year-old Stanislav Honchar says both he and his sons were also kidnapped and tortured by Russian soldiers near Bucha. Do you think there will be justice? They will be punished one day, he says. Justice must take place. They were not invited here. The only way back for them is through hell.
That's that fighting spirit, man. He was tortured by the Russians. There will be a lot of war crimes brought about after this settles down. But that's my biggest fear, is that the biggest reason why Vladimir Putin is not trying to stop this war, no matter how bad it gets, because the minute the war stops, it's trial for all these people and him and all of, his army and everything is going to get destroyed. And he knows that, which based on history is just a precursor for World War II, right? Because World War One precursed World War II. Anyway.
No response so far from Russia on those accusations. You can see behind me, Ukrainian officials are now holding a press conference on alleged war crimes. Meanwhile, the United States says it has highly credible intelligence that Russia plans to annex the whole of the Donbass region. Ukraine.
If you're a reporter, maybe go record the press conference or try to get a question in and not speak over the press conference. That's kind of rude.
Industrial heartland, as well as the city of Kherson, which is now being occupied by Russian forces. Hoda.
Aaron McLaughlin for us there in Ukraine. Aaron, thank you.
It's got to be crazy, though, to be a young reporter, gets sent to Ukraine. You just got to deal with that every day, Honestly, can we take a second to just say that, these news channels need to stop with the clickbait? I appreciate the video. I think we got some really good information from it. But we got more information on Mariupol and the steel plant. The steel plant news was like 30 seconds. And then we watched another minute and a half about everything else, which is great. I love hearing about it. That's why we're here. But you're Good Morning America. You shouldn't need to be fighting with other people for views, right? Or do you? Anyway, that's the news on the steel plant on Mariupol. We're going to get into some more stuff going forward. But thank you guys for still watching my videos. Thank you for coming back. We're going to be doing this more daily now that school's out for a little bit. I will be back in school in about a month and a half. But I appreciate you guys. Have a great day. And hit that like and subscribe button, why don't you, if you made it this far. Peace out.